Good morning. So I just wanted to talk to you and reach out to landlords who are considering in changing agencies if they are selling their property through, they've maybe had it and rented it out themselves in the past, and then they've sold it on to an investor who now wants to use a letting agency, or they're buying it themselves and changing it over. So we've recently just taken on a property in Liverpool, and the sale completed on Friday of last week, the 1st of July. And the previous landlord who sold the property had multiple properties across Merseyside, and they had tenants living there. They kept the rents quite low, kept the tenants happy, done minimal repairs on the property, and then decided to sell. This particular property that we bought is in an okay condition. There is some work to be done in the property with the new tenant. However, the rent that the tenant was paying was fairly low for the area. So when we initially offered the property to the investor who was buying it, we of course give them some comparables in the area and told them that the property value was going to be much more, but try and have a realistic approach with the tenant wanting to stay and how much we could obviously increase it to. So this particular tenant was only paying £525 per calendar month, and the average rent compared to Zoopla was between £750 per calendar month and £900 per calendar month at the moment. And it was giving us around 30 comparables within a mile radius, so it was pretty strong comps that we could go from. So what we decided to do, rather than just bump the tenant's rent up to £800, which is crazy if the tenants are going to look to stay and look after the property, we decided we'd go around and have a chat with them and discuss options so that we could make it work best for them. And what we decided to do was meet them in the middle at £700 per calendar month, so that's increasing their rent by £175 per month. The tenants, of course, they were expecting that. They knew that the rent was going to go up. They're quite happy with it. We're not going to increase it straight away because we still need to give 30 days notice, and the rent is due in the middle of the month. So this month's rent will stay the same, and then next month there will be a rent increase. But also, just to add to that, the previous landlord didn't take a deposit. And anyone who works in residential lettings or who is compliant as a landlord will know that you do need to collect a deposit, and the deposit needs to be registered with a deposit protection scheme within 30 days of the tenant moving in. So of course, the investor who's bought the property has decided that they do want to collect a deposit from the tenant. Of course, we've had that conversation with them to say we can ask for the deposit, but we can't enforce it. They're already living there. It becomes quite difficult to try and get that money from them. And you're asking them to increase the rent by £175 per calendar month, and then asking them for a deposit of £700. It's quite a lot of money for two people with a small child who work part-time. So I went and met the tenant yesterday. And as part of our service, when we get new tenants, we do ask the landlords if they want to give them a welcome gift. So when I turned up, I had a bottle of wine and some coffee as a gift that we packaged together from the Think Wine group. And we took that along to the tenants. So that's like a nice gesture to go. And I think also just going to the property and seeing them face to face, rather than everything just being by email or by post, I feel a more a nicer humanitarian approach it always works better, and then they can get to know you as the agency as well, who's going to be looking after them. So what we done was we discussed some repair issues that they had, works that were going to get done, any improvements that were going to get done, and I literally spent about 45 minutes with the tenant getting to know them, talking about the personal life and not just all about the rental, talking about the area, how long they're looking to stay for. And we had a really good chat, and we connected really well. I gave them the office number, the WhatsApp number, so they can message us anytime. Our office hours are 8:30 to 4:30, but they can reach us by WhatsApp after 4:30, so if there's any repairs they can send a picture, send a video. So they felt really confident moving forward. And although I went in with a blow and I was telling them that the rent was going to be increased by £175 a month, I left there knowing that they felt content and they were happy to stay at the property. So with regards to the deposit, what we ended up doing was agreeing a payment scheme. So they're going to pay I'm going to work it out for them today, but they're going to pay an extra amount every single month. So what that means is then once we've collected the full amount, we can then register it with the tenancy deposit scheme. Of course, we're taking a risk there, because if for any reason we had to serve a Section 21, we wouldn't be able to do that because there's no deposit registered with the tenancy deposit scheme. But however, my understanding is that these are really good tenants. They seem really good tenants. They're not going to cause any problems, hopefully, and that we can collect that deposit. And then when they do finally vacate the property in a number of years, we'll have that deposit there for the landlord. So I'm just really telling you about this in case you are a landlord looking to invest in properties and you do come across something like that. Ask your agent to go and visit the tenant. If they're happy to do that, go and have a chat with them. It can be a difficult conversation, but I think that it's one that should be had, and it just makes everybody feel safe, knowing that you've got a good tenant in the property. They're going to look after it. As an agent, you know that you've made yourself available, and then also you're reassuring the landlord that the property is in good hands.